Alright, welcome back to another packet tracer activity. This is 722, building the prototype network. So what we've got over here is just a bunch of equipment. We need to hook it up with the right cables and configure all the IP addresses. We're going to configure some basic security on the VTY ports, and we'll configure EIGRP on the routers and disable EIGRP default route summarization. And then we're going to look at doing some connectivity tests. So we've got a diagram of what we're trying to put together here, so we can connect it just like they want. So we'll start up at the top with this PC. That will be a straight through cable connecting to FA0/1, 0/2 I mean, on the switch. And then this will connect to 0/1 down to 0/0. And then a serial port, and we're going to put the clock on R3 here, 010 to 010 over here. And now we're going to need crossover cables to connect routers to each other. So 0/1 on R3 will go to 0/1 on R1. 0/0 will go to 0/1, and another serial cable will connect these two, and then we need straight through to go from 00 to 02. 00 on R2 to 03 on the switch, and we'll hook up a server on 0/4, and then the other PC on 0/1. Alright, so we've got all of those cabled in to look just like our diagram. So now we need to we're going to configure the host name and interface IP address. So what I've done, if you're trying to find the IP addresses for this, it's not on this document. I feel like it probably should be. But on the next packet tracer, 723, it does have most of the addresses here, and I'll try to help you out with some of the ones I had to figure out. Some of these switches aren't right because it's a different diagram. I'll try to help you out if you're missing some of those, because I was. So I've made up a script, and I'll kind of just go through the script as I'm putting it in, just to explain what I'm doing here. So the first thing we're going to do is go into switch 1. Get that ready. So you can see there's no host name on it. So first we're going to enable it, configure terminal, and then host name S1. We'll change the name of the switch to S1. And then we'll go into the VLAN 1 interface, which is a default interface, so it's already on there. You don't have to create it. And we assign the IP address that was in that other document, which is 4.3, with the subnet mask there, and then do a no shut to activate that port. And then do an IP default gateway and give that the default gateway, which is actually the FA00 on router 1. And once you do that default gateway, then it will take you out of that interface, which is perfect because you're done in there, and then you can go to your telnet line VTY 0/4, put the Cisco password on that, require that they have to log in, and then you can end. And we can just paste this right in here. And that looks good. So then we'll go up to switch 2. This is just the same thing, all the same commands. IP address up there is 8.2, and 8.1 is the default gateway on, that's router number 4 up there. Everything else is the same, so we'll just paste that one in. Alright, and on to the routers. This is where it gets a little bit more involved. So we'll go through here. We name it R1. Go ahead and go into the telnet line, assign the password and the login requirement. On FA00, we're doing the 4.1 address. FA01 is 0.5, and the serial port is 0.9, and that's one you won't find in the document. But then once you assign that serial port IP address, I put the clock rate in there. I use 64,000, and I'm doing no shuts to open all these interfaces, and then exit out of there. So we can just go right into setting up our routing protocol. We're doing EIGRP autonomous system number 1, and then advertising all 3 networks. So it's got a network here with the switch, here with this router, and here with this router. So you've got 18.4, .0, .0.4, and .0.8, and then we want to not have auto summarization, so you go no auto summary and end. Alright, I'll move over to R2. Pretty much the same, all the same commands, just different IP addresses. 4.2 is 00, FA01 is 0.13, and the serial port is 0.10. And then we advertise all 3 of those networks for EIGRP. We go to R3. This one was a bit different. It's all the same up at the top. We got our FA00 is 0.14, FA01 is 0.6, the serial port is 0.17, and I put the clock rate on that one at 64,000. What was different was the EIGRP on this one. When I was putting it just with the IP addresses, or just the network addresses, it wasn't showing up as completed, and it didn't until I added the subnet masks for all of them. So remember to include the subnet masks. They're all the same on this one. And then R4, pretty much just the same. There was just one fast Ethernet address, which was 8.1. The serial address was 0.18. And so we advertise both of those networks for EIGRP and put it in. Alright, so we should have all the routers configured. Now we need to just go in and set up the PCs. So you can just go to desktop and IP config, and this is some of these numbers I got from this page. This is PC 1, 2.18.4.10. Subnet mask is /24. The default gateway was 172.18.4.1, which is the FA00 on router 1. Right here. And then the DNS server was the discovery server that's on the thing here. Right here, 4.25. So, on the discovery server, it was 4.25, we just did that. It's a /24. Default gateway is 4.2, which is FA00 on router 2. That's what it's using for a default gateway. And then PC2 is 172.18.8.10. Default gateway is 172.18.8.1, which is router 4, and the DNS server is that discovery server. So that should be everything. Check our results, and we've got everything. Was a lot of stuff. And then the packet tracer wants us to perform some basic connectivity tests according to the Stadium prototype test plan. So let's pull that up and see what it says. Okay, so we've connected it. It wants us to ping through the network. So from PC1, can we ping all the way to PC2? Are we gonna do it? There it is. Gotta love Packet Tracer. So there you go, we can ping all the way through there. Instead of pinging everything, maybe we can just do a trace and kind of see what it's bouncing off of. So it did the 4.1. We bring up our little address to see where we went. So the 4.1 is router 1, we know that. The 0.6 is router 3 right here. The 0.18 is router 4. So it went just straight up there. So of course you'd be able to ping anything in this row because It just went through them all, so looks like those are all set up correctly. Let's try pinging from PC2 to the DNS server down there. Yeah, there it is. I'll trace the route there. It goes from 8.1 to 17 to 13. So if we look here, we've got, it goes from router 3 to router 2 and down into the switch and over here, so we can go all the way up, all the way back down the other side. So that looks pretty good. What else do we want to test? They just wanted to do show runs, show IP route, and we could, it'd be a good idea to paste those into a document once you have it set up, so if something happens you can look back on it and see what you had set up. And yep, everything else they want us to do is just do some show commands, so let's check it out. On router 3 here, do a show run, and so you'd know how you had your IP address scheme set up, you'd know how you had your networks going for your EIGRP, you'd have your password for your telnet there, and of course you'd have to do that for every device because you'd have, obviously they're all set up differently. Show IP route will show all your connections and your EIGRP connections. Show IP protocols. And then show IP EIGRP topology. And then show IP EIGRP interfaces. So there you go. Just copy all that, paste it down so you have it. Another good idea is if you make a script just to keep all that, because that's got all your information as well. If your router breaks, you bring in a new router, all you have to do is just drop this in it and you would be good to go. So we're at 100%, we've got it set up. Thank you very much for watching this one, building a prototype network. Thank you very much.